Okay. We are gonna have to change our text color for the seconds alive, and we'll probably set that to white, right? But this seems decently fun so far. Ooh, they're catching up on me, kinda. Okay. Well, I've been alive for enough seconds now. Just from gameplay testing, I feel like I could live forever. I don't feel like I'm inevitably going to die. So I think our health amount is probably good. Oh, I don't know. They're kind of ganging up on me now. I'm pushing them off though. It does get easier to hit them the closer they are. So as long as I'm fending off the closest ones, I think this is playable forever. It really feels like that. So long as you prioritize your targets properly, of which I am not exactly doing. And ones like this that like kind of flew around really quick, like I think those are going to be hard to manage in your head. Like keep track of which ones spawned first, you know. Yeah, this seems very possible to do forever. So, we'll just let me die. I'm going to change the score color to white. And we lost the game. Nice. So instead of black, let's say white. That's a lot easier to see. Okay. Well, you know, as far as color palette goes, we probably could make some good changes, but I'm no digital artist, so we can worry about that another time, can't we? Never, ever, ever. Cool, cool, cool. Trying to think what else we might need to do to this project. Um, this isn't originally what I had planned on making, but it's kind of what we ended up with because there was some other math that I want to show in a different kind of game that isn't so trigonometry based. So this game was really to focus on the things you can do with trig in making a video game. But this is a pretty reasonably fun game. You know, like people played Asteroids forever, and like people still play Asteroids. So instead of like killing the red orbs, we could also make them split into smaller red orbs or something instead, right? And that's kind of how Asteroids works. And then Asteroids also, I believe you could fly this ship around, but we already kind of know the logic to do that. So I didn't really want to go over that. But yeah, it's like fixed point asteroids, and the asteroids don't break, they just die. But yeah, then you could hook this up to like a database or something, have a scoreboard, see how people are able to how they're able to survive your game. Um, and to do that, you would need like PHP or Node or some kind of back end to communicate with. But yeah, I kind of like how this feels. I feel like I could play this for a long time. So I think we are done with that. However, when we lose the game, we do want to be able to reload the page. So let's add our reset that we made for Cube Wars. So document.onKeyDown is a function, and then this is e, and then if e.keyCode is, and we would say location.reload. And I think I'm just gonna Google what the key code is. Unless I closed the browser again. I did not. R key code. Let's 82. So if we push the key with the key code 82, then we should reload the page. If I push R, you'll see it resets to 0. So now our reset button is working. So we can play this game as much as we want, and when we lose, we can just push R, it'll reset the game, and we can play it again. Hmm. I do think that is pretty much all that I wanted to cover in this video, or like this stream. Not really thinking of any exceptions that could happen right now. Yeah. I guess we can kind of go over the math a bit again, kind of say like what we used it for. So we have all of these trig things that we were working with. And let's see if we can kind of pinpoint what's happening. So here I was just kind of explaining the trig functions and sort of how they work. The Pythagorean theorem that we use to get things like, the distance formula and stuff. So when we start the game, first of all, the player looks at the mouse. In order to get that, we needed to do this tangent math that we did here. So that's where this came in. And then it also comes into play with spawning the enemies, but you can't really see that. This was just unit conversion from radians to degrees. And again, in computing, we use radians. So if you ever want to write a degree of something while programming, you should convert it to radians first and then write it. That, or have some kind of conversion function and make it very, very, very apparent to anyone who reads your code that you are using degrees instead of radians, because everyone will assume by default that it's going to be in radians, since that's how we do it in computing. So if you're going to convert something to degrees, or you're going to have something listed as degrees, please, please, please put like a comment next to it that says like, this is in degrees, or in like a function that you're calling, have like returned in degrees, or like whatever degrees be the name of the function, because we really need to know what kind of measurement you're using if we're going to be able to read or work with your code at all, you know? So here we were going over if we already know an angle and we have a distance that we want to match, then we can get the x and y that put together will give us that distance to get us to this point, right? And so we did that for shooting bullets. We wanted the bullets to come out at a specific speed. And so when we click, it finds the X and Y that it needs to be at, and it updates that as the game updates, right? So we needed this to shoot bullets. And then you may notice that this is actually the same logic that I explained in this one, where it's r cosine of theta and r sine of theta. If you look at this, you'll realize this is r cosine of theta and this is r sine of theta. It's the same thing. We were finding the point here, and then we were doing logic with that. So this is the same math, just maybe visualized a bit differently. So that's shooting bullets. It's also positioning our enemies. Technically, if you want to like go off of the other thing we did. And then this is the distance formula. We use this for collisions. So we found out like if a bullet was touching an enemy, even though the bullet's technically a square, and we kind of went a little iffy with that. It does the detection for bullets hitting enemies, and it actually does the perfect collision of us touching an enemy. So when they touch us, we will die. We did a perfect collision using this distance formula. And then here I was just explaining how the collisions work. So if the distance between the two is less than or equal to the radius of both of the circles added together, then you are colliding. So that's where all of this math came in to making this game. And all of this is covered in trigonometry, maybe touched upon a little bit in classes before that. I'm of course talking about like the US education system. I don't know how the rest of the world works, unfortunately, but I did just explain all the math to you. So regardless of what math level you're at, you should be able to make games like this now. And that was my goal for today, just to show you why trig is important, at least when making video games. Yeah, that's about it. I do have other logic I want to show you guys that I was originally going to put in this game, but I'll show you with some other game stuff to make like the camera follow the player so you can have a larger world than just the canvas here. I wanted to show you that. I'll probably show you that at another time. How to do like hurt boxes and hit boxes in like kind of a simple way. It's a lot simpler than you probably are thinking it is. It'll help for strange shape collisions, to put it simply. Trying to think. I guess I should say like this will be up on the GitHub if you guys need to reference the code. I think I'll probably just throw these images into the same location as the TrigShooter project. So if you need to like look at the math and kind of figure it out again, those will be there as well. Thinking. If all this stuff, we're doing collisions and everything. Yeah, man. I don't know. I feel like we kind of covered everything that I was intending on covering. So, once again, this game will be up on the GitHub if you want to get it and play it. Share it with your friends, see who can last the longest. Mainly, I was showing you guys different trig functions that you can use and how you can incorporate them into your games. Again, I will not be streaming tomorrow. I have another business meeting. And if I continue having business meetings and such, then we may change our schedule to weekends instead of weekdays. But until further notice, we are still planning on doing weekdays, just not tomorrow, which would be Wednesday. Yeah. If you appreciate me teaching you guys how to make these games and explaining the logic behind how they work and all the maths and things, I'd really appreciate if you'd leave me a follow. I am trying to reach affiliate, and I would appreciate that a lot. I'm about halfway. I need, I think, like 12 or something more follows in order to get it. So I would appreciate it if you would follow. I think I'm gonna wrap up the stream. We've been going about 5 hours. I accomplished the goal of teaching you guys some trig and how to use it. So I think I will wrap it up. Thanks everyone who came to the stream, who checked in. Thanks Semp for always checking in. Yeah. I never know how to end these things. Have a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good night wherever you are in the world. I appreciate you being here. I will see you guys on Thursday. If not Thursday, like if I don't show up, just make sure you check the Twitter. I will post on Twitter if I'm ever unexpectedly like not going to stream. So be sure to check up on that. I should also give a shout out, I guess, to the YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel if you ever want to look at some of the old VODs. Our VODs on streaming services only last 7 days before they expire, and there's nothing I can do about that. So I download the VODs and I upload them to YouTube, where, as far as I can tell, they will be there forever. So if you ever need to go back and look at a previous stream, or if I refer to a stream in like a later stream or something, you can go to the YouTube to view something that I've done before. But yeah, I'm gonna sign off. So I will see you all Thursday. Goodbye.